What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Big Drama Show. Of course, it's my new channel. I did have an old one, but I've deleted that and started fresh. But here's the deal: Daniel Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin are fighting today. In a highly anticipated fight. I mean, I'd rather see this than most other middleweight clashes, seeing as Canelo and Golovkin has not looked likely for quite some months now. I think it might happen at the end of this year, but anyway, that's irrelevant. I'd rather see this fight than any other middleweight apart from probably Chris Eubank Jr., who I think would give an exciting fight to Gennady Golovkin. But listen, a lot of people are saying Danny Jacobs has got a puncher's chance in this fight. I mean, this isn't just a puncher's chance. Danny Jacobs is underrated in two ways. First of all, he is unrated as a technician, and his techniques are very underrated because of the way he slugs and tries to knock people out, as we saw him do against what's his name, Dmitry Pirog, who obviously knocked him out in quite brutal fashion. And yeah, I think Danny Jacobs, if he wants any chance in this, first of all, he needs to sort out that defense of his. He needs to keep them hands up, and he needs to defend well. I mean, every time Danny Jacobs has looked poor was when he's been reckless. Sergio Mora, he knocked him down and he wasn't even a puncher. 8 knockouts in 26 fights, and he knocked Danny Jacobs down due to him getting reckless. Same with Dmitry Pirog. I even thought Peter Quillin was going to do the same until he got stopped. But Danny Jacobs cannot have that mindset going into this fight. I don't think he will have that mindset. And yeah, I also think that his weak chin, per se, is somewhat down to his poor defense that he's shown. And a fun thing about Danny Jacobs is, right, he can show that he's got a good defense, but sometimes when he's getting pressure by someone like Pirog, he begins to be reckless, fight fire with fire, and he gets knocked out. But yeah, some of the ways Danny Jacobs could beat Gennady Golovkin, I think first of all, Gennady Golovkin is one of the most powerful jabs in boxing. I mean, David Lemieux didn't want any of it. Danny Lemieux didn't even want to launch an attack after he felt the first few jabs from Gennady Golovkin that cut his nose open. Danny Jacobs has power as well. He needs to counter that jab with his own and piece together combinations. He needs to keep busy ultimately. And I think he needs to make Gennady Golovkin fear his power quickly, like early in the fight, because Gennady Golovkin, as he's shown before, he will just walk you down. If he doesn't feel your power, he will walk you down. And Danny Jacobs has power. He needs to use it before Gennady Golovkin just kills it all. What people don't understand is when you're up against someone like Gennady Golovkin and he's putting that fear into you, you're not going to hit hard anymore after a few rounds. He's just going to wear you down, and you're not even going to... 50% would be trying to survive, and 50% of your thinking would be trying to hit hard. Moreover, Danny Jacobs, it's not all good just countering Golovkin's jab with his jab. Danny Jacobs isn't known as a hugely powerful jabber, and Gennady Golovkin has a great chin, as is shown time and time again. The way that Danny Jacobs makes Gennady Golovkin fear him early on is by piecing together combinations instead of just jabbing back. I've seen plenty of fighters try jabbing back to Golovkin and get walked down and knocked out. Gennady Golovkin, on the other hand, he needs to apply pressure to Danny Jacobs, and I think he needs to cut off the ring. Danny Jacobs, I wouldn't say he's got the best footwork in the world. He hasn't got... When you're fighting a pressure fighter like Gennady Golovkin, you're going to have to pivot around him to get out of it, and you're going to have to be very, very subtle with your movement, very quick, or he's just gonna subtly break you down and got a step forward so you can't go anywhere. I think ultimately what happens footwork wise is going to be the key to who wins this fight. Gennady Golovkin needs to cut off the front foot when he's facing Daniel Jacobs. But yeah, that leads me on to my official prediction. I think as Daniel Jacobs does get pressured by Gennady Golovkin, he's going to try fighting fire with fire, and I don't think that's going to work. He's going to have to do that sort of, but include some of his technique and defense in there as well, and his footwork especially. Footwork is going to be key for this fight. As he gets pressured, I think he's going to get reckless, as he's shown before. Danny Jacobs really needs discipline if he's going to win this fight. I think Gennady Golovkin stops him late, maybe 7-8 rounds stoppage, maybe a couple knockdowns in there as well, in the same round as a stoppage, but I think somebody's going to get knocked out, and it's going to be Danny Jacobs. Seeing how he gets reckless in other fights, I think that's the way it might play out. But Danny Jacobs is a smooth technician as well. If he uses his techniques properly, and if he puts his power into his punches as well, then Gennady Golovkin has a problem. As always, subscribe to my channel. It's a new channel, and share.